To Q&Brew. I know you guys are grabbing drinks and everything, so take your time, grab your seats. We'll probably get this panel started, well, just as soon as Sean gets up here. So, no, you're fine. You're fine. There might be a few people at the bar, but so I think I know pretty much everyone here. For anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Ariel Smith, and thank you guys for coming to our Q&Brew tonight. So this panel is going to be focused on new construction, building new construction, and we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about build to sell and build to rent. So we have brought in the experts for you guys tonight, and Jen Smith is our moderator this evening, so I'm going to let her take it away.
Okay. Perfect. Welcome, guys. Okay, before we get everything going, we're going to go down the line, and you guys are going to state your name, what company you're with, and what role you play in the new build process. Start down there with Shane.
Just.
Yeah.
My name is Shane Coleman. I own Coleman Construction, just a local contractor around the Joplin area.
My name is Logan Baker, and I'm with the Elite Title Company, and we essentially help with the funding process and the title examination of new build construction.
Will the cord reach? I got it. So, Sean Johansson, I am with People's Bank of Seneca. I'm a commercial lender, and I house in our branch in Neosho, Missouri, which if you work with me, I go to any branch that we have, whatever's closest to you, but I kind of start the process as far as the construction loan, if that's what you're talking about, or any kind of loan, as far as what information you'll need, that type of thing, so.
I cheated. I already said. I'm Ariel Smith with Ariel Smith Real Estate, and I am the agent that can help you sell your properties once you build them.
There you go. Absolutely perfect. Okay, so let's start at the beginning of this process. And it's going to be somewhat directed to building and title down there at the end. How do I know if a lot is buildable? I'm assuming they are not all that way.
That's a good question. You definitely want to make sure that the lot you're looking at is not in a flood zone. There is some lots, there's houses next door that doesn't look like they may be. Also, if you have any questions, City Hall is a good spot to ask them, give them the address, and see if there's any reason that you can't build there. Which normally in Joplin there is a few lots that are flood zones that we stay away from. You can still build on them, but there's just other requirements on height for the floor that has to be off the ground compared to on a slab with no steps. Outside of that, the width, you want to make sure it's not too skinny of a lot. We're dealing with one now that it's a 37-foot lot, which is pretty skinny from what we're used to as a 50-foot lot, but we had to make a design to fit that lot. So trees, that kind of stuff, it's definitely a plus if there's a sewer and water meter. If not, that's just anywhere up to $5,000 for the water meter, and then we did one sewer that cost us $12,000, so those are things to look out for. But outside of that, trees and that on a hill, if it's on a hill, it can be done. It's going to be more expensive to get it to buildable, so if you can buy it right, it's still buildable. So.
Love that. Okay. Logan, what about you? How do I know if a lot is buildable?
So from the title perspective of that question, essentially, once a lot's been selected or you have interest in a lot and you're proceeding forward with it, you will get with us to do a title search of the property. That search will find anything from deed information, who's owned the lot history. But the big thing with if a lot is buildable, we'll find if there's any easements or anything that could cause a strain that way, or if the property has been acquired through a tax sale, that can also be a potential issue. But we essentially just go through and make sure that there aren't going to be any barriers to entry, so to speak, on actually starting the process.
Perfect. Anything to add from lending or agent on how do I know if a lot is buildable?
I just made notes, so I don't have everything memorized, so bear with me. Just a couple of things that I noted was zoning requirements. That's one thing you want to make sure and look at if you're building a duplex. What's the zoning requirements? If you're building a single family, what's the zoning requirements for that particular lot? Check the utility availability. Do you have access to water, sewer, electric, gas, all that type of thing? We mentioned the flood zone status. How about access to the property? Is there access to where you can, we had an issue with a customer that bought a lot thinking everything is going to be hunky-dory, but the access to the house, somebody else had to give up part of their property to get the access when it was all said and done. So, you know, that is another thing to look into. And then work with a realtor that is familiar with local land development.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, love that. Ariel, anything to add on that one?
Nope,
Okay. Yeah, work with Ariel. I love that. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. All right, so there's many ways of doing this process. So directing maybe primarily to the builder, lender, and agent on this one. Who buys the lot? You want to start with that one?
I can, yeah.
Multiple answers possibly?
Yes, for sure. So I can start with this one. I'll probably pass this off to Sean and Shane here, but it can happen a couple different ways. So, you know, if you've been in the market, lots these days can be a little competitive or more rare, rare finds. When we find something, we may need to jump on it and just go ahead and purchase it outright. But typically, you as you who's going to be building the house would purchase the lot or then start the loan process with it if you haven't fully purchased it yet.
Okay. So the builder, what says you?
So on my end of it, of course, if I do my own house for a spec house, I buy it. We also have investors that buy the lot, and then we have a contract on the side that we build it, but they buy it, and that's how that works. Pretty simple on our end. Either I'm buying it to build it, or an investor purchases it, and we're the contractor with the contract road up for the process of building the house. So.
Okay. Lender? Anything to chime in on that one? How do you see this go most often?
Well, this conversation has been talked about a lot as far as do you buy it if it's an investment, do you buy it in your personal name or do you buy it under an LLC? That's something to discuss with, your CPA, how's it going to be on your taxes, that type of thing. So that's something to kind of think about. A lot can most of the time be included on your construction loan. So think about that. And then mostly it just depends on the project. It just depends on what it is, on how you handle that.
Love that. Anybody have any other comments on that one? No? Okay. So directed towards the builder first on this. How do I get a cost estimate for a new build?
Really reach out to a contractor that you know or a builder like myself. It's always good to have the blueprints so we can do a cost breakdown on start to finish. The houses we build, we got them down pretty good to where we could tell you, every phase what it's going to cost start to finish. But I would start by having the blueprint and reach out to a builder and let them give you the breakdown on it.
Okay. You guys have a comment on that question?
I can add on to that.
Okay, sure.
So something you can also do, or to be aware of, is of course there's going to be fees and costs outside of just the building and all of that. You're also going to have disbursement fees, title fees, lender fees. That's just something to be aware of, not to be blindsided by any additional cost that you might accrue in pursuing that process. So.
Very kind, yes. Sean, anything on that one? Okay, perfect. Okay, heading down the list. So how is the construction process funded? Logan and Sean focus on that one.
Yeah, that's honestly kind of piggybacking off of kind of what I just mentioned. Specifically, though, once you get to the point of funding certain stages of the new build, you will get with your contractor. You guys will work up some draw sheets. Draw sheets contain all the work necessary for that phase of the build. That'll be sent to us, and then we are responsible for dispersing the funds out to you guys or whoever you're hiring to do said work, just to make sure that you're covered and that there isn't any potential for liens to come against you. Because once that check leaves our office, we ensure a lien waiver is signed at pickup, so that it won't be a headache or a pain later on down the line.
Perfect. Sean?
He kind of covered most everything. On the lender side, first you'd want to get approved for the loan, just like anything else.
Seems like a weird place to start.
Right. A lot of times that doesn't start there. It usually starts getting it under contract, and then we move forward. And the lender's like reeling and trying to catch up. But the first
It never happens.
happens all the time. Anyways, so go through the approval process. Get that done before you even start anything. It's very important because it's going to cause a lot of headaches, not only with you, but with the lender and everybody else. So. He kind of said everything as far as the construction loan, the draw process, that type of thing. But construction loans, whether it's personal or whether it's an investment, it's basically going to be kind of the same. We're going to ask for, if it's under an LLC documents, that type of thing. But we're going to want, some type of a cost breakdown, cost worksheet. We want to give the appraiser everything possible at the very start because we want the best value that we can get out of it. So we're going to want a cost breakdown. We're going to want a spec sheet. We're going to want, sketches, anything that we can get our hands on to show that appraiser what this build is going to be to get the most value that we can. Let's see, what else? One thing that we had talked about, you and I had talked about, was a lot of times, and I get this question all the time, people think that at the end of the construction process, they'll just refinance the loan. Well, what we do is we start with the construction loan, and we call it construction to perm. So we start with a construction loan, and then that construction loan at the finale will convert into a long-term loan. And you're going to want to stay with that original lender if you can because it's going to save you a lot of money. A lot of times when you're converting that construction loan to a long-term loan, you're going to have, basically, if you're staying with the lender, you're going to have an administration fee. Ours is $100. And then you may have an appraisal fee for the final walkthrough. The final certification is what we call it. And that's generally $200. And that's the only fees you have. If you go to another lender and refinance it, then you've got all the costs of what a new loan would take. So something to think about as you're going through that process.
Go ahead and keep the mic because next question is, will I need a down payment? Is it free?
Well, a lot of people think it is. They want to come down with zero down. And there's a lot of guys out there that preach it. Hey, you can get you can finance for zero down, and here's what I tell everybody. If it's a 1 to 4 family, just plan on 15%. Plan on it doesn't mean you're going to have to bring 15%, but plan on it. If it's above a 1 to 4 family, like an apartment complex or a commercial building, plan on 20%. Usually we figure on 1 to 4 family, 85% loan to value, anything larger, 80% loan to value. So yes. The question, yes,
Yes.
Plan on bringing your down payment. The amount usually varies on the borrower, on the project, a lot of things. So another thing, circle back, make sure and get the pre-approval process done ahead of time. That eliminates a lot of issues and problems. Because what I'm going to do as a lender is I'm going to ask for 3 months of bank statements with any accounts of value. Because I want to be able to see that you have that money if we need to have a down payment or however much that is. I need to be able to see that you can fund it. So that's important. What else?
So on the spec houses we build, how we do it is normally we purchase the land, and once we get the deed, we take that to the bank and get our construction loan off of that. So that's really the only down payment we need is just the deed paid for. And then we get the loan and start the process as a house. So that's another option. I'm not sure if you guys operate like that, but that's how we do it on our end as well.
Well done.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up on that. So Shane and Sean, you guys both mentioned it. So the way most often it works is you have the cost estimate, your spec sheet for what the house will be. So they'll do the appraisal based on, as if the house is already built. And then from there, can come into, okay, what is it actually going to cost to build? Then what is our loan to value? And then, of course, the lender will help guide you through that from there. So,
Perfect. Okay, going to focus. Shane, you got the microphone down there. So what does a general contractor do? And do I need one? If so, is it going to cost me money?
Depends who you ask. Some people say I don't do anything. So if somebody was to bring me a property and say, hey, I've got this property, I want to build a house on it. If they don't have their own blueprint, I've got a handful that we can make fit on the lots that we've been building on. So I'll go look at the lot, make sure there's utilities. A lot of times you want to make sure there's a electric pole that's going to be able to reach your house, because we've had a few set that just happened the other day in Rural Heights. I started framing the house and started looking out back and realized there wasn't a pole anywhere on our property. So,
I'm sure the neighbors would share.
yes,
Yeah.
well, not this neighbors. That's another story. But so that's another thing while we're talking about that is when you're looking at properties, Liberty takes forever to get a pole set. So that's one of the first things once you start the process. If you need a pole set, get on their books, because
But you as a general contractor would take care of that for them?
we would as a contractor,
Love
unless
that.
you're trying to contract it yourself. That's something we've learned really early in the game. But once we find the blueprint that'll work, we'll give the cost breakdown to the owner and basically let them know what house we can build on that, what it's going to cost, and pretty much once the loan process is done, we take it from there.
Is
to
there
get the house
additional fee
built.
to all of this?
Yeah,
From a builder and GC different perspective there? Or?
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's probably pretty close across the board. If I'm building basically a house that's going to be worth $200,000 at the end, I usually have a flat fee of $20,000, unless there's multiple houses and we can lower it down some. But if I'm just going to build one house, I just charge a flat fee of $20,000 plus the cost of the house.
Pretty typical.
Yep.
Okay, love that. Okay, let's see here. Yeah.
oh, yeah. So I was just gonna add on to that. I think just like having, why do you work with a real estate agent? Well, they have expertise in that area that you may not. And so I definitely think there is tremendous value in working with a general contractor. There's so many things that they know to look out for that you just may not have even ever thought of. There's still things that I'm like, oh yeah, I thought, and then, like my contractor will say, oh, what about that? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that, or and then just handling, they oversee and handle the, pizza's ready. Pizza. Are you gonna share? They oversee that entire process. So, yes, incredibly valuable there.
I have witnessed many times people saying, I can do that myself. And I think general contractors know the rhythm of things, and the laymen do not. And I've found that it takes a lot longer for someone who's never general contracted something to actually get through the process.
Yeah, I'll add to that too. So the houses we build, we have a lot of the same subs. So when we keep them busy throughout the year, if some stranger calls them, they're gonna put them on the back burner.
Yeah. Loyalty.
Yeah, so our process is very smooth and quick. Really, I say after the concrete's done, it takes us roughly 8 weeks to finish the house. And that's, just like last week it happened again, or this week, The house was in the dry with the roof on it. And then my plumber came in, did his part. Electrician followed on Wednesday. And today the heat and air guy came in. Tomorrow's inspection. So if all goes well, hanging sheetrock Friday. And I say there's after concrete because it takes forever to get to the concrete pour.
The first part takes the longest. Yeah.
And then it's like it's done.
Yeah.
But you're dealing with weather and it, if they haven't dug footings, they got to let them dry a little bit so they can get trucks in there to pour the concrete. So it's definitely makes it easier. If you think you can do it, I would suggest doing a house or two because, like Ariel was saying, there's a lot of small details that we see ahead of the game that you don't want to come in too late and forget to put your, make sure that the plumber put the sleeves in the footing, and you got to jackhammer concrete. So we got to babysit sometimes, but it'll save you a lot of time with the contractor.
Love that. Okay, so go ahead and keep that near you. This next question: how long does the process take from start to finish? We're all going to have kind of a different part of this answer, but from a building standpoint, how long does your part take, start to finish?
So it's really once the loan's done, I try to get the permit ready before that loan is done and ready to go because depends what city you work in. I won't name the name. Some are very easy to work with. I've had to turn a permit Friday to build a house. They called me Monday. I thought it was going to be questions, and they said, "Hey, your permit's ready."
You're good. Love that.
Some has taken 4 weeks, so you really want to get that stage going and get your permit ready, preferably before the loan's ready. And again, contractors are different, and there's issues with some subs showing up sometimes, but we are getting houses done after concrete. Usually we push for 8 weeks. So, you're looking at possibly 10 to 12 if weather's bad. If it's winter and you can't, get in there with snow on the ground, then the ice. And,
Sure.
So
Another winter 2026 might delay some things.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so like I said, 8 weeks after that. So if you're looking at 10 to 12 if it's really bad, but 8 weeks after concrete's where we try to push for.
And that's, I'm assuming, a moderately sized home that you're talking about.
That's the 1,200 square foot we build.
Okay.
We've pretty much been in that price range.
Okay. Perfect. So Sean, what about from a lending standpoint? How long does this process take from start to finish?
So generally, if we've got you pre-approved and everything's done on that side, well, let's just say it's not. Let's just say you send me all the information that I need, and I start inputting your customer file. If you're a brand new customer, if you're a current customer, and I'm just updating the new loan memo with the new construction project, whatever. I usually like to say, hey, give me 3 to 4 days for that, right? From that point, we send it to credit. Now, I will mention that our bank probably has, being a community bank and being a smaller bank, we have 55 employees, so we're a small bank. With that being said, we generally have a lot less red tape. It goes through a lot less people for the approval process, but we still have our steps. Our next step after getting all the information in is sending it to credit, and then credit does their job on it, basically going through the taxes and the financials and everything and doing the credit spreading. Once it comes back from credit, it has a loan review. It goes to loan review, which is generally, like, we have ours once a week, normally on Thursdays. So let's just say you send it to me on Monday, I get everything done by Tuesday, send it to credit, they have it back, we go to loan review on Thursday, we're off and running. Because once we get it through loan review, we order appraisal and we order title. Okay, so in a perfect scenario, we could have it done in a week to order the appraisal. But normally we're waiting 2 to 3, sometimes 4 weeks, depending on the project, for an appraisal to come back. So you could have, let's just say 5, if worst case scenario, 6 weeks in the lending process. And usually once we get the appraisal back, which is towards the end, that's when we know, hey, is this project going to work or is it not going to work? Because a lot of times we'll get the appraisal back and it's low. And then the borrower's like reeling and they don't know what to do, or they back out because it doesn't look good, whatever that looks like. But generally we don't like pull the trigger and go until we're at the closing table. But that from our timeline, that's kind of what it looks like.
What about from a real estate? You want to do Logan first, and then you? Okay.
So when it comes to title, I always like to say we go from contract to close, but in this instance, it would be contract to funding. So, we would receive the contract or order from Ariel after you've found somewhere that you would like to build or proceed with. We would do a title search on that property, which can take, anywhere between 5 to 10 business days, depending on where the property is located, what county, and how large the piece is. And once we've done a search of the property, that will reveal to us the property's history and what things we need to satisfy in order to make sure that it's clean for the potential buyers. And then moving forward a little bit, we work as the through line throughout the whole process. So we're staying in touch with the lender, with the general contractor, with the agent to make sure that by the time we get to the end or the finish line, so to speak, everyone's on the same page and all the boxes have been checked. And then when it comes to funding, if we're selected to fund the property, like I said earlier, you'll be picking up the checks from the title company after we've received your approval and draw requests from, the general contractor.
So on my end of it, when I'm involved in the buying, building, and all that, there's so much downtime from, say you get a house or a property bought under contract, just under contract today. I feel like from today till I get my permit, there's 2 to 3 months of downtime that a lot of people don't see. And that's a couple weeks to do closing, possibly. Sometimes it's sooner, but you put 2 weeks for closing on the property, then you wait on the deed, then you turn everything to the bank, wait on the appraisals. The bank gets stuff done fairly quick, and then you're on the appraisal schedule. And you get that back, and then you go get a permit. Well, then 2 of the properties we've had, which have been thankful that's it, but if there's in a lead zone or the tornado zone, you can have a lead test. That could sometimes have been the same day, sometimes it's been a week before you can get that back. It's not the end of the world if there's lead on the property. You just got to dispose of it to a certain location, and then they'll tell you if you need to add 12 inches of clean fill dirt back in. So expect the day you get under contract on your property, if you expected 3 months, you'd be in that time frame before you can actually start breaking ground. So a lot of new investors are like, they get into this, starting the house, getting it all going, and the house gets started, the concrete's done, and then we're done so quick. But there's so much downtime that
They're all excited at the beginning, and they have a little bit of a rain delay, don't they?
Yeah, and then it's like, it drives me nuts, but if I can get ahead of that game somehow, it'd be great. But just expect that 2 to 3 months before you're ready to break ground.
What about from a real estate agent standpoint? I mean, finding a lot is super easy all the time anyway. They're just out there everywhere. What do you say?
Lots are everywhere. No, I wish. So as the agent, we are typically involved in the process, like from the time either we're searching for the lot, we find the lot, through everything else that these guys have mentioned, all the way through till the end of the build. So, gosh, I would say on average, if you really have your ducks in a row, kind of like Sean was saying, you have all your documents, you get that to the bank pretty quickly. From the time we're, putting a lot under contract or maybe have closed on it, I would say if you have your ducks in a row, 4 to 6 months, and that's probably pushing it. If you don't, definitely probably more towards the 8 to 9 is what I tend to see, and that's just to get the house completed. So if we're, if you're building to sell, then we may have a 90-day time frame to list the property on the market, sell it, close on it. For sure.
Okay. All right, this next one is going to start with you. So if I'm building a house, how do I know how much it would sell for? And so that's if you're building to sell, an investment to sell, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So kind of from the get-go, we're going to have an idea just based on the appraisal, because that, like Sean was saying, that's kind of going to set up our whole building project there. And I would tell you that sometimes we see flip-flops. So sometimes houses will appraise for more than they could or would sell for. Sometimes they appraise for less than what they sell for, and that's where just that agent expertise can come in. So, you know, we're going to look at that property again as it's finished, look in that, you know, very hyper-local specific area, because if you build a house in 4 different neighborhoods, it very well may not sell for the same price in each different neighborhood. So, so as an agent, we'll be able to provide you just with a, hey, this is our range on, just like a CMA on an existing property, you know, what that would sell for.
Question time. Yeah, and does anybody have anything? Oh, there they are. Logan.
Yes, sir. Yes. So, well, so
Can you
if-
repeat his question so that everyone?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's asking, you know, what other red flags there might be when acquiring the property through a tax sale. You know, of course, if a property has gotten to the point of a tax sale, yes, liens are always a possibility, especially if they've been a lot of times neglected by the current owner. But one thing that a lot of people forget to do when acquiring the property from a tax sale is to make sure that a quiet title suit is filed. Because if a quiet title suit is not filed, well, let me back up. A quiet title suit essentially gives the prior owners of the property 2 years to come in and lay claim back to their property and to pay their delinquent taxes. Very rarely do we see this happen or someone come and do this. They typically go through without a hitch, but it is possible. So you got to make sure that that's filed in order to proceed, because the property, although you may have purchased it, is not technically yours until that's cleared. To be honest, I mean, yes, it is. I can't speak for other states in the 4-state area, though.
Sean, do you have any idea if other states follow the same kind of rule? No, do not know. Okay. Yes, sir.
Sold at a tax sale already.
You purchased.
That's a good question. And if I'm not mistaken, and one of you guys can interject if I'm not saying this correctly, but at that point, that property, I believe you have the right as the person that's acquired it through the tax sale to maintain the property and to make sure that it's up to standard. Beyond that, I'm honestly not entirely sure, but I could get back with you on a better specific answer with my underwriters.
So I believe on that, that if you do pay to have that kept, the buyer is also, or the owner is also responsible for those bills if they take it back over. So they got to pay that back as well. So
Reimburse.
yes.
Yes, sir. Okay. So he's asking the builder if he builds cost plus or turnkey, and then
Are
at
you
the general.
talking spec houses? Yeah, we on a custom house it would be a cost plus because doing one right now that we get it done, and well, they want 10 shelves in the laundry room instead of 2, where they want the really nice granite over the contractor grade granite. So a custom house is cost plus, usually about 15%. Spec house at contractor grade stuff, we try to stay at a flat rate of 20,000. So just makes it simple. So. On the spec houses, we do everything. We do dishwasher, microwave, and a range, no fridge. But we can, on the houses that we build, can basically tell you what it's going to cost to have that house start to finish on the building. Right, and then it could vary a little bit. Like I said, if the property has a sewer or not, if it's got a water meter. If the land is flat, if we're going to need a bunch of backfill. So those will vary a little bit off our house build. But our house build is basically from the footings to the shingles, all in between. So the outside layout could change the price, some if the structure or if the land needs adjusted. Around 1,200 is where we stick at.
I want to circle back to the quiet title question. There is, of course, always an alternative, almost always. In the instance of a quiet title suit, if you're able to find the owners of the property, you can always see if they're willing to sign a deed over to waive that 2-year wait. If you can get proof that they've signed off on a deed over to you and you now own the property, the quiet title suit is not required. A lot of times the current owners may have passed. In that instance, you would need their heirs to sign a deed over to you. Gotcha. And really, I lost my train of thought. What state are you usually? Kansas. Okay. Yeah.
We do things different in Cherokee County.
But like we have one right now that's going on that we just discovered a quiet title was not filed, and we're actively trying to track down the current owners, prior owners of the property to try and avoid, having to do something like that. So, just something to be aware of.
Yes, ma'am.
Typically not. So each bank or mortgage company has a pool of appraisers that if they send an appraisal order out to, it varies on who picks that up and does that appraisal. So it would be a very big coincidence, but it could be the same. But yes, I mean typically if the bank or the mortgage company that has a pool of appraisers, whenever they just send out an order. Correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't really vary. It doesn't really vary greatly if it's an existing home appraisal or they're doing one for a new build.
So all the same people are involved.
I'll mention Hank, our appraisal coordinator. He has a list of approved appraisers in our area, depending on where the property is. Like she said, it doesn't matter if it's a new construction or you're purchasing a home. It's going to be the same appraisers, and we're going to Hank's going to do is he's going to reach out to say 3 or 4 appraisers depending on what the property is, if it's a 1 to 4 family, if it's larger, if it's a commercial building. And he's going to pick the right appraiser for that because of his knowledge. He's going to pick the right appraiser for whatever that property is. And then he's going to take a look at timeline. Okay, what's their lead time? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? What's the cost? That's the other thing he's going to look at. What are they going to charge for the appraisal? And he's going to take the best as far as the appraiser and that type of property, what the cost is, and what the timeline is, because he's going to want to get the best for not only the lender but the customer. So that's what we look at as far as the bank side.
Another question back there? Yeah.
Yeah, so a quiet title is essentially, it's a document that's filed with the city that's just giving the prior owners of the property who relinquished their property through the tax sale a gap of time to come back and reclaim and pay for any outstanding city bills or taxes to claim that property back. So, of course, when it comes to like new builds, you wouldn't want to start building on a property if Joe Schmo could come in and pay for their necessary funds to reclaim that property as their own. So,
We just were just
Joe
asking if
Schmo?
we knew him, yes.
hot dang.
One more question? Anyone else? Yes, sir?
That's a good question. So, if you don't mind me asking, how was this resolved in your instance? Or has it been resolved? Okay. Right, right. So I mean, that's where it comes in. A title company comes into play because, speaking for mine specifically, currently, we have a whole group of our own in-house attorneys that can go to bat for you if you're using our services to try and clear something like that up. And if we find through, search of public record and through correspondence with this potential lien holder that it's not valid, like you said, the title company has every right to proceed and still insure if they find that, it holds no water. Pool pun not intended.
Very good, though. I did like it, yes.
Well, that's actually a great entry into what we're going to lead into next. And I would tell you that we are seeing new construction within certain price points. So, if you can build something between, mid 190s to probably 240, that's doing very well right now. Customs built to sell. Kind of higher risk, higher reward, higher risk there. But yes, we are seeing, new constructions built, either built to sell. So, hey, I'm looking to, raise capital with, selling this property, or built to rent. Our rental market is really strong right now as well for, certain criteria of home, for sure, brand new homes. So actually, with that, we have about 30, 45 minutes that we would love to, we're going to step down off the panel, and talk a little bit more about different strategies, so building to sell and building to rent, because sometimes that can be slightly different. So Chavis, if you wouldn't mind standing up. So Chavis Coleman is an agent on our team, an incredible agent on our team. Of course, myself, and then Jessica Courier is in the back there. So from the agent perspective, Chavis and I would love to hear and learn more about your individual goals, and just be able to talk more with you about which strategy may make the most sense for you guys, and which option there. So yeah, with that, we would like to give an opportunity for everybody who came to ask you guys any questions, and so.
We'll be down mingling in the
We'll
crowd.
be down mingling. Yes, I do really quick. I forgot to at the beginning. I do want to thank our sponsors for tonight. So Elite Title was one of our sponsors for the event. Thank you. Sean Johansson was one of our sponsors tonight. Thank you very much. Firm Foundation, they weren't able to be here tonight, but they're a great foundation repair company, water remediation control. Jessica, was that all? Okay, yep. Those were our sponsors. So thank you guys for coming. We're going to come mingle with you. Grab a drink if you haven't already, or grab another, and we look forward to hanging out with you guys for the next little while.
Perfect. Thank you.